By the way, what's our picture today on top of our
It's it's
um
it's the standard We Are Meow and Luscious without the Gladys Berejiklian.
okay, just wondering because I'm not sure. Yeah, sorry, your question, how's it going?
How's your week been?
Yeah. It's like yeah, it's sort of like being stuck in limbo, isn't it? But it's okay. Everyone, I'm noticing, like, are you noticing trends happening to people around you, like trends and patterns? I've noticed quite a few people have come have become quite like healthy and they've got new healthy routines and exercise and diets and stuff like that. What are you noticing?
I think everyone really deals with the pandemic differently, and I think I see an oscillation. So I see this huge commitment to like changing their life, and then a complete like bowing out. I'm not going to participate. I'm going to eat junk food all day. And my friends seem to go between these two, and myself too, between these two states.
Absolutely. Hello, Science Gang. Steve, you're part of the Science Gang too, and so are you, Devin. Welcome, you guys. I think I would be the same. I'd be having a lot of junk food if I wasn't on this really restricted doctor's ordered diet. Um,
Mm.
oh, my dad just texted me. I've completed your census. Thanks, Dad. Um,
Yeah, I just so we just it's census night tonight. For those of us not in Australia, do you have something like this? Do you want to explain what census night is, Lucy?
Census night is where the Australian Bureau of Statistics gathers information, and it's every, what, 5 years? Because last was 2016, I think, as to where people live, what religion the population has, just basic sort of information. And it's in order to get data, I believe, for future government funding. So, for example, if a lot of people say they aren't religious, maybe less money will go to religious schools. So yeah, and um, I only sort of half finished mine today, but it's sort of yeah, it's just sort of basic info. What would you say?
Yeah, so basically, it's a way for the government to work out where to spend money. Um, the thing is that it's been a bit tricky because a lot of people haven't felt like they've been included in the census. Have you seen this?
Last week we talked about how gender, you could nominate which gender you are on the census. And I think, and I hadn't seen it yet, but you mentioned how people are getting annoyed because it was difficult to allocate if you're non-binary on there. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, and there was also some questions about the heritage, where you kind of there were boxes like English, Irish, other, Australian, Aboriginal, but it was kind of like a you could kind of put whatever you feel like, but people felt like the boxes didn't really capture them, and they're worried that if they put the wrong thing that they won't be represented properly. The other one was around relationship status. So a few people were talking about how it didn't cater to people with a more unusual relationship status, for example, polyamory or something, or non-conventional relationships. And as you said, if this is working out where money from the government is going to go, if they don't have the right categories and they haven't captured it correctly, they're just going to be omitted from that money because we didn't even think to put that box in there.
That's right. But I did see today, and because people are saying, was there an other box? There was an other box I noticed for non-binary gender. Um, and I think then you could then write my gender is non-binary or intersex or whatever. So I'm not sure about that. I think, yeah, we'd have to maybe ask people who are non-binary about that and whether they felt included. Can I just ask a quick question to Steve Morello? Um, I made myself. I'm on a diet, a FODMAP diet, which is basically gluten, dairy, sugar free. And I made a banana bread today, and I had a slice, and I feel so sick. And I feel like I've eaten something that's been too oily or something. What can I eat in order to stop feeling sick? So sorry, everyone. Today I'm feeling a bit slow because I just feel a little bit nauseous. Yeah. What sort of, do I need to eat like an alkaline food or something? What can I do to feel better?
Detergent, I reckon. It'll
I'm just
make
having blueberries right now.
it'll make the if a detergent will make the oils and the water miscible. You don't want to eat detergent. But maybe
Look, it's a difficult question, Steve. I'm sorry. It's on my mind.
papaya enzyme or an emulsifier, maybe. Maybe there's some sort of emulsification you can have to kind of make that. Because if I eat a lot of mayonnaise, I sometimes feel that real, like, gross, oily thing. And
Really?
um, maybe, yeah, I wonder what's soy lecithin. Lecithin? Lecithin.
I know what you're talking about. Less, yeah, I know which one you
It's
mean.
one of those ingredients you
Um,
don't know what it is, but it's in everything, right?
Totally. Oh, and then Chuckleberry says the census was also flawed in that it asked in the last week whether you had done paid or unpaid work. Given lockdown for half of Australia, this will provide an unusual result. That's so true.
Also, did you know that it asks different questions? So my girlfriend and I got asked different questions.
What was that?
Oh, sorry, it's just lagging a little bit. Um, I'm not sure why. Are we back? I don't think it's dropped out. It's just going a bit slow. Um,
Yep, I think you're back.
okay, yeah. So it asked us different questions about, like, I think because of our age, it asked and how long we'd kind of where we'd been across the last 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. But for me, it just asked in the last year, and it might have been that they were looking at her being of an age group where you're expected to be moving out of home, whereas for me, it was saying, well, am I staying in one spot or am I moving suburbs or whatever?
Oh, I see, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Now, did you tick the part where it says, in 99 years, can we publicize this data of yours?
I have to tell a secret. I actually fucking hate the census, so I just got Sarah to do it for me, and I just answered over her shoulder any questions that she didn't know.
Yeah,
So I don't
but you
know.
still answered it, basically.
Maybe in 99 years, I'm gonna be around to revoke the consent, so I don't really mind.
That's right. You'll be around to revoke the consent. But hold on, with studies, you can only revoke your consent within 7 years, right?
I'll come with a flamethrower and I'll burn down the ABS. Like, I will revoke it.
Okay, I really hope that Sarah put no for that question then.
I'm optimistic about life extension. I actually don't think that I'm going to be physically here. I think I'm going to upload my brain. I think biology is way too complicated for us to have, like, good life extension. Also, your mum said you should. Sorry, Chuckleberry said you should eat fruit tingles, and that you can't have sugar. What sugars can't you have?
Yeah.
Isn't banana? Aren't bananas filled with fructose?
Yeah, but natural sugar I think is fine on this diet that I'm on. I can't, I've got too much. I've got gut dysbiosis, so too much bad bacteria in my gut, bacteria that shouldn't be there, and it's an overgrowth. And so sugar directly feeds the bacteria that shouldn't be there. So natural like fruit sugar is fine, but yeah, anything else. I can't have honey or maple syrup either. And the only sweetener I can have is stevia. I understand erythritol is really good in general for your health as a sweetener. But I'm also doing the FODMAP diet as well, so I can't have that one either. So it's been very boring in my stomach.
Yeah, I would. I would. If it was me, I think I would just suck it all out and I would just start again. I'd get like a
Yeah,
vac.
so fecal transplant.
Nah, but complete fecal removal, like vacuum cleaner up the bum, get it all out,
Yes.
and then just reverse it with someone who's really healthy.
Well, actually, there's an easier way to remove the feces. That's by going to the toilet. You don't actually have to put a vacuum cleaner up there.
Ah, that's no fun though, is it,
Yeah,
Lucy?
yeah.
That's no fun. I'm just gonna quick. Whoa, we're getting so many comments. Here we go. Aren't antibiotics enough? It depends on the antibiotic because not all antibiotics kill all things. I think is nuke the joint. Yeah, if you get a broad spectrum, maybe, but even then, it only kills a certain amount. What I'm excited for is targeted antibiotics. I want to see bacteriophage therapy where we can just go through and take out one bacterium. And I don't know why we haven't got it yet.
Yeah, why don't we have them?
Because Russians
Someone
love.
hasn't innovated.
That's right. Where is all the innovation? I thought we were in a pandemic. That means there's a huge. It means there's a huge problem that everyone needs to solve, but I don't see any solutions, Lucy.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just jumping in these comments.
No,
Aren't
please do.
antibiotics enough? Oh, and I can have ginger water. Okay. Right. Tiny fluff. Aren't antibiotics enough? No. I'm on the FODMAP diet has a lot of evidence behind it, a lot of research behind it, and that's sort of the diet that people generally advise nutritionists and dietitians and doctors for people with IBS, which is sort of like a restricted diet, and then you slowly reintroduce foods and monitor symptoms. Um, but for me, I don't have any symptoms. I just had a test which just revealed that my microbiome sucks.
Mm.
And antibiotics will wipe out the bad stuff, but they'll also wipe out the good stuff, which might lead to the bad stuff just taking hold again. So the protocol is basically you have probiotics, and then you have natural antibiotics. Sort of, they're called microbials. Meow. Do you know about microbials?
I know about the microbes, but I don't know about microbials.
Sorry, you just cut out there. You know about microbial?
I don't know about microbials. So my understanding of controlling bacteria is generally from a very external way of doing it. So I think about how do I clean bad bacteria out, and that's generally like wiping down a bench, right? Because generally in the lab, we're thinking about like how do we stop things from contaminating other things, and ours basically have two categories: bactericidal things and bacteriostatic things. So bacteriostats stop things from growing, and bactericidal things kill the things.
So can you just repeat that again, please, one more
Yeah.
time? So bacteriostatic and bactericidal.
Yeah, and the thing is, in hospitals, we often use bacteriostats rather than bactericides. And the reason for this is that if you stop things from growing, but you don't kill them, you slow down the evolution. And that means that you're less likely to generate these, superbugs.
What are some examples of bactericides and bacteriostatic
Um,
bacteria?
I'm just trying to think. Generally, they're just like a spray and wipe. So we will just get a bacteriostat or a bactericide. A bactericide is probably going to have things like detergents in there. It's probably going to have alcohol in there. It's going to have things that will probably lyse the membrane or the cell wall. Bacteriostats, though, they might be something that might desiccate the bacteria. It might trap it and stop it from moving. It might change the permeability of the cell membrane, so it will stop the food and gases and chemicals being able to move across those types of things. I don't know what they are though. They just come in a bottle and we just spray it on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devon's made a good point here. Oregano or oregano oil is
Mm.
one of the things I'm taking, and that's yeah one of the microbials which yeah are basically yeah in the stomach, sort of stopping any further growth of the bad bacteria.
Mm.
Um, Meow, just to let you know, guys, can I ask, is Meow coming through really clear for you? Because I'm just like every second word I'm getting static. But I think it just might be my end.
It could be due to the way that Discord is set up as well, because that's how we are speaking to each other, which is a little bit tricky. I'm trying
Okay,
something.
I'm just gonna try this.
It could also be the resolution of our video. There might be a way for me to change this to reduce. I'm just gonna try something. Um, give me one sec.
Okay, Meow is clear but quiet. Okay, okay.
Okay. I think I'm just gonna see if I can.
Yes, Devon, antifungal, yes. But what happened is I had too much. Meow was like one third is that is less luscious. Okay, yeah.
Oh, really? Um,
Yeah, maybe you need to go closer to your mic.
my mic's as close as I can get. So, just give me one sec. I'm just gonna try something.
No worries. So guys, what happens is I ended up having wait, hold on, wait. 403 error says maybe there's a diplomatic solution. You could offer the bad bacteria, I love it, bad bacteria, safe passage to an alternate environment, in-laws, for instance. That's so funny. Oh, that's hilarious. Yes, I would like that very much. Not for my in-laws, but I just like to take it somewhere else. I'm not hating on in-laws. Um, what happened for me actually is I had too much oregano oil. The dosage was too high, and I felt incredibly sick. And for 2 weeks, it was incredibly hard to eat. So they can also be really strong, which is interesting, even though they're natural, you know.
I don't know if I can change this. Um,
Oh, okay, yeah, you're still coming. Look, it looks like it's just an issue on my end. I'll just have to really try and listen to you.
I'm
It's
so
just, it must
sorry.
be my problem.
It, the reason
No, don't be sorry. It's
the
definitely the internet.
the reason that it's going to happen probably is due to the fact that we're on a video call and I'm also broadcasting that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
what's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
cause it. So I don't know how to fix it. So hopefully though we can get an exemption and try and film from the studio. Is that working?
I'm Do you know?
What's that? Hold on 1 second.
All right, guys. So I'll jump in and chat to you for a second.
Yeah,
Oh, are we back?
I think so. Is that working? So it's really my computer's running really slow, and I think it's to do with I don't know. I don't know. We'll just make do.
Sorry, everyone. It's definitely on my end, the issues.
Fixing things during the stream is
Oh
always
no.
so difficult.
Yeah.
I'm just reading Sunny's Sundog's comment.
Okay.
Guys, you're not going to believe this. So I went for my first AZ shot, and you have to wait 10 to 15 minutes afterwards just so they can make sure there aren't any side effects. So I was just there chilling on my phone. All of a sudden, I completely dissociated out of my body and smashed into another dimension where I saw Bill Gates transform into a reptilian, rip out and eat the pineal gland of a baby, and start launching 5G chips like laser beams from his eyes. Wow.
What a pro. Lucky you. I didn't get that effect.
That's absolutely incredible. Uh, I think maybe there's some genetic memory encoded into the vaccine.
Maybe. Maybe that's it. Damn, I didn't get any free movie, any other dimensional activity. What a shame. I should go back. I should go back and get it again. Be like, guys, my side effects were nothing like this, guys.
I missed out. I'm just going to see if I can change.
Yeah, actually, a friend of mine got the Pfizer vaccine, and um, he went and sat down for the 15-minute wait time where they watch over you, and he started to feel like a bit faint. So he put up his hand and he said to the nurse, and he's like, "Hey, I'm not feeling well." And then he closed his eyes and he fainted.
Oh, wow.
And then he said that he woke up on the ground, like on the floor, and he had like because they'd obviously like lowered him down off his chair, and he said there were like 8 nurses around him, like staring over him, like like is he
Wow.
okay? And there
Yeah.
was someone holding his feet up.
Oh, wow.
So his feet were up. So he's like, wow. And then someone was narrating what was going on. So they were like, okay, he's opening his eyes. He's looking around. He said it was the weirdest experience because they were narrating what he was experiencing. And then then he started to laugh. And they're like, okay, he's laughing. That seems like a good sign. And I think it was just the case. He said that last time he had a needle, he had a blood test. He also fainted. So I don't think it anything had anything to do with the actual vaccine. But it was quite a funny story. Yeah.
I think I want that narrator all the time. I think
Did
I
you
just
say
want.
something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think I just want the narrator all the time. I would like just, Meow is awoken. He opens his eyes patiently, waiting for his coffee. He doesn't feel like going to work today, but he knows he has to because he's obliged. And it just like that all day would be fantastic. Stephen has a question. Can you compare the grandmother hypothesis may or may not conflict with antagonistic pleiotropy in terms of evolutionary adaptation to diet and its effects for longevity? What is the I don't actually know what the grandmother hypothesis is, and the
What's
antagon.
pleiotropy?
I'm not sure. I can find it out quite quickly. Um, the other thing as well, if you want to send that to me after, Stephen, I can go through it in more detail. Um, Broadly though, I'm just going to say, I don't think there's huge amounts of um, effective evolution over our diet. Like I don't know, like when I say this, I've heard lots of people talk about how our bodies have changed and how they evolved for different things, and I think it's overblown. Is the short is the short answer. Um, Nathan Waters said 30 micrograms of Pfizer or 100 micrograms of Moderna. They say there's no difference. There might not be. I think weighing vaccines is not really the best way of doing things. Generally things like this are measured in international units, so that they're measured in how active they are. Ah, okay. So there's do you see this, Lucy, about the grandmothers helping their grandchildren survive better? Have you heard about this evolutionary theory before?
No, but can I say that my grandmother is so much healthier than myself and my mother. So even though we do all the same things that she does, um, so she's just crazy. She came over after the war from Poland, and she's 80 something, and she can do yoga stands on her head, and she's just got too much energy. So I don't know. Go on, tell us. Also, I like Nathan Waters' comment about the oregano diet.
Yeah, so I'm on an Oregon pure upgrade, but yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of things at play here. So when we think about the grandmothers helping the grandchildren to survive, this kind of came about when I think it was like about it was the last half of last century. We started to look at some like unusual things that happen across nature. So things like menopause, right? What's the if you look strictly from a Darwinian perspective, there's no real point in having people that can't reproduce survive because they're not going to make babies. So what's the point? So some evolutionary biologists went, okay, what about if having grandparents there increases your chance of survival of the you're making me very jealous with that mandarin, Lucy. um,
Do you want one?
I'm so thirsty for a tangelo. Oh, I was wrong. I have to correct myself. I'm just going to pause for a moment. I have to go back. I said before that a tangelo was a cultivar of a mandarin, and I was wrong. It's
It's
actually
really important that you stop to clarify that and continue.
Well, tangelo is my favorite fruit. It's actually a hybrid between a mandarin and a grapefruit. I believe. I
Oh, so it's
believe.
sweet and salty-ish,
It is so good.
sour-ish.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Um. My end is lagging a lot. I just got a message, so I'm gonna try and quickly fix this. I think the
Yeah,
problem
yeah,
is that
yeah.
the resolution of the video is is too high.
Do you guys also want to have a mandarin now? It's weird, like, because I was just saying earlier, I made banana bread today because I'm trying to be innovative within my restricted diet, my FODMAP diet, and I made a gluten, dairy, sugar-free banana bread, and it was disgusting, and I made myself eat a slice because I was like, I've got to, like, I've put an hour, 2 hours into this, and yeah, I just feel so sick after eating it. Like I've eaten something that's really oily, and I'm just like weirdly craving fruit. So I wonder if my body is telling me I just need to drink more water or something. Interesting.
Mm. I think okay, that might have fixed things a little bit. Um I've tried to change the uh, scaling resolution, so hopefully it.
Has anyone else had their microbiome tested? Let me know. I'm so curious.
I really want to.
I want to see what lives within your stomach, within your gut. I want to know.
Mm. I think this might
Is
be.
it Clostridium? Is it Pseudomonas?
I hope it's.
Streptococcus?
I hope it's not Clostridium. Clostridium is where all the bad stuff is.
Giardia?
Giardia. Okay.
What is in that? Because it really influences your personality too. Recommendations on where to get it done. Another a number of companies do it. It's also growing with research, and more companies are now gathering data and adding that to the reading. And more companies are starting to do these tests. But I think Ubiome is one of them. Ubiome. In Australia, there's also GI mapping. That's one I did. GI and then dash mapping. And then there's another one called what's it called? Hold on. I'll just find out.
I just stretched us, Lucy. Just bear with me though, because I'm trying to reduce our resolution.
Ooh, ooh, okay. Um, all right. The other one, which I think is the cheapest one, is NutriPath, NutriPath. NutriPath. And if you go onto any of these companies' websites, you can either find clinicians in Australia who will run that test for you because you have to have someone who's been trained how to read the results, even though I don't know. I think they're pretty easy to read. Actually, if you don't, no, I think that's because I've learnt about the gut microbiome now. So maybe it's not that easy to read. So yeah, find someone who can read it for you. So a qualified dietitian or doctor or even naturopath, nutritionist will be able to read that for you. There we go.
Yeah, it's pretty important that with these things you have the right types of support around, just in case you find something that you weren't expecting.
Totally. And I'm seeing here, oh, your friend had candida. Yeah, that I haven't got that, but I understand it's really difficult to get rid of. She actually says we are essentially just giant walking bacteria factories. I feel like a vessel. I'm just a vessel for these guys. Seriously. Have you guys watched Midsummer? Oh, we can talk about that in a second. Sundog Illionaire says, aren't like heaps of our neurotransmitters produced in our stomach? Yes. And mine came back really low, which is really interesting. My dopamine and serotonin are really low, lower than they should be, which is weird because I'm a very happy person. So interesting. Um, and Matt Kramer says, I've done an oral microbiome test at uni, cheek and teeth, but the class results were randomized. Ooh, but I'd be so curious to know, right? Some odd things in people's mouths could be contamination. Um, Yes, Sammy, Lucille Carter. That's right. Nutripath, Ubiome. And my friend Sundil Gillionaire says my friend got one and altered his diet accordingly and had nothing but amazing things to say about the impact it had. Um, yeah, look, I'm feeling like I'm a guinea pig. I'm testing this out on myself right now. I'm testing out the protocol of probiotics, diet, so that the gut dysbiosis doesn't get any worse, and natural antibiotics. Let's see what happens. The issue is you have to do it for a minimum of 4 months, and before it starts to actually work. So I think I'm on month 2. Um, so yeah, look, it's been a struggle, but it's going to be worth it. And Midsummer, I started watching it. It was so horrifying and gory. I stopped watching it.
What is Midsummer? I think I've missed this.
Midsummer. It's a horror film, and it's set in Sweden. And a girl's sister and her parents die, and it's about her coping with the grief and the loss of her family. She goes to a festival with her boyfriend and his friends in Sweden. The Midsummer Festival, maybe, and there's like a bit of a cult there who celebrates it. So they invite them along to celebrate it with them. And then what happens in the Midsummer Festival is the gory horror
Ah.
part. Although it's pretty gory from the start of the film. It was just a bit too much for me.
Yeah, I'm not. I used to love horror films and gore when I was a lot younger. Like I really enjoyed it, and now I want really boring TV. Like oh, I always think that I want some, um, you know, thing where I think a lot or something like that. But what I actually want is I want like just brainless TV when I'm watching it.
Why is that?
I think generally I'm watching TV to relax. If I want something that's very heavy on thinking, I generally want a book. That's what I'm probably craving, right?
Right, I see what you're saying. And Steve says, I didn't think it was too gory. Oh, dude, the scene where the sister dies. Oh my God, that was intense. Don't you think that was intense? I'm not spoiling anything, but also Triaxu says, I maintain a water kefir colony to drink and help my gut biome. That's awesome. One thing that you should know that I've learned. So I, being half Polish, I've been taught to incorporate a lot of probiotics into my diet, a lot of fermented foods, so kefir and sauerkraut, and kombucha and kimchi and miso. However, while these things are really good for the good bacteria that you want in your stomach, they're also good for the bad bacteria. So it's sort of like you've got a garden, you've got flowers, and you've got weeds, and you're pouring fertilizer on both. And that's what these fermented foods are doing. So just be aware of that. I had no gut symptoms, nothing telling me there was an issue in my gut. And I had lots of fermented foods. And turns out I was feeding both the bad and good bacteria. So just really, that blew my mind. So just want you to know that.
Sorry, I'm just playing, trying to get this. Every time I speak, it seems to lag
No
very
worries.
heavily on my end. So I'm trying to just fix as much as I can.
No worries. I'll keep talking.
Yeah, it's actually
Um,
um
yes. No worries. Because I'm getting lag. I'm just trying not to speak over you.
no, that's okay. We got 100 messages. Yay!
Ooh.
Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah.
I might just
Amazing.
try
Thank you so much.
I might just try and push through a little bit. So, yeah, my exciting news for the last week is I'm growing some daffodils, and they're finally coming up, which is really exciting. I love bulbs, and they're growing on my balcony. Next week, I'm going to have a photo of them. And the other thing I decided to do was build a dark room. So across the past week, I got pretty much everything I needed, and in for maybe under $200. I've almost built a darkroom in my house, which is so cool. I'm going to start printing my own photos, developing my own film, and I'm using a really lo-fi technique called caffeinol, where you use instant coffee to develop film. And it's really exciting. So I've been getting deep into it. I'm like so into the chemistry. It's really exciting.
That's super exciting. I can't wait to see your photography.
We'll see how it goes.
Your coffee photography.
Yeah, I've gotten really into the very, very old forms of chemistry, and it's interesting when you look at how kind of whole industries started, because often they'll solve the problems using really low technology, so you can replicate it at home, and you just make a really shitty version of it. Hey Pranav, how you going, buddy?
Hey, Pranav. Welcome. Welcome. We missed you last week, but I know that you're in class, so good on you for sticking to that. It's important.
I'm going to give a report about how well my photography goes, and if it goes really, really well, I might even bring some in, because some of the processes you can do outside of a dark room. So we might even be able to do it
Sick.
on.
Would love to see that.
It'd be really cool. Yeah.
And Pranav, the cake. Oh my God, it was so bad. The cake was the banana bread that I made earlier today. Disgusting, so bad. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna have to find a way to throw it out secretly because I feel so sick after eating it. All it had in it was like almond flour, olive oil, soy milk, eggs, bananas, baking soda. Like it really, there wasn't a lot of bad stuff in there. I don't know. I just feel so oily and gross. I hate this diet.
Have you had your? Stephen asked, Have you had your DNA tested for the SNPs, the single nucleotide polymorphisms? It's like 23 and
I've looked into that. Yes, and my understanding is that actually the research on that is still pretty new, so they're still gathering data around that. So my understanding is that if I had the results, they would sort of tell me a little bit, but still not quite be precise. So I'm waiting until more research is gathered before I do that DNA
Yeah,
test. What do you think?
it's a tricky one. So, so with the SNPs, because they're not inside the coding genes, we don't know why they indicate certain things. So we might say like 80% of people with this pattern have a certain um, way of being, but we don't know why that is. For example, a mutation in this, 5 C's here or a C instead of an A here means that you're less likely to need sleep. But we don't know why. So even though we've got high correlation, we don't have any causative relationship. So it doesn't really mean it means that we say there's an increased likelihood that you are a certain way, but we don't know why. A good example of this is perfect pitch. So we've found a genotype that's associated with perfect pitch, but we have no idea why. And if you have 2 copies of the C, you'll have an 80% chance of having perfect pitch. If you have 1 copy, you'll have like a 50% chance. If you have neither copy, you have like a 20% chance. So so the thing is, it's interesting, but it's kind of just like trivia about yourself, and it means nothing most of the time. Like we can go
I
and just
totally agree.
yeah. But I think it's also kind of cool as well because it's kind of like star signs for your genome, right? Like you can go and you can look at these things and wonder, oh, I wonder if it applies to me, and you can go and test these things, but your life experience is actually what makes it have meaning. It's not the thing itself. It's just a fishing expedition.
Yeah. Oh my God. In my music degree, we were so jealous of the other students who had perfect pitch. Guys, what that means is that when they hear a note, for example, they hear a car horn beeping, they can identify, oh, that's C sharp. Oh, okay, that's an F note. So they can instantly tell, they can instantly identify any note. So whenever it just makes it much easier to learn music and to repeat music. When we'd have melodic dictation in class and, the person would play on the piano, da 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 da. Da, 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 da. We'd be like, oh, what was that note? Was it? And because, without perfect pitch, you have to count up from, let's say, middle C is usually the note you start from. So, okay, what's middle C? If I had perfect pitch, I could tell you, but I think it's like, so I think that's maybe a middle C. And so what you do is you count up from that. You can go a third above it, or a fifth, and then you'd be like, okay, so what did I just hear? What was that? What was that melody again? And you'd be like, okay, I think it was positioned below the fifth, or anyway. So
So you have
you have to go through so
a
many
relative pitch.
gymnastics. Yeah, relative age. You have to go through so many gymnastics to figure it out. And then the exam's finished, and I'm like, I didn't get any of that down. Whereas perfect pitch people are like, okay, so easy. Yes, you can train yourself, and you can get quite close to perfect pitch, but I'm jealous of the ease for those who have it.
I think it would be a curse.
Why?
Well, I'm not a musician. I like playing music. I'm just not a musician. I think it would be a curse because I don't think it's one of those things you can switch off, right? It's like when, if you get the genie
Yeah.
and you wish for X-ray vision or, to see people without their clothes on, the trick is that you can never switch it off, right? That's what the genie does to trick you. So when you ask, I feel like perfect pitch is like a genie power, right? Like you hear someone fart and you know what pitch it is. You hear the sirens go past and you know what it is. You go to the movies and the person screaming while they're being murdered in the horror movie is off key and it just ruins everything for you.
Yeah, I think you're perhaps right. Charlie Puth is a celebrity who has a musician who has perfect pitch, and I really like his music. And someone mentioned synesthesia, which is where you hear music and you see colors, but I just feel like that's a bit of a wank, to be honest. Like I understand a lot of people have it and they feel special because they're like, oh, I hear that note and I see pink. Like, but it's like, what's the use of that? Like, that's just like there's.
Yeah,
I'm just
like
jealous, to be honest.
It's like congratulations, bro. We've all taken acid. Like, like we all know how we all know how this works. Like, I think a lot of people want these little things that make them like really special. You know,
Yeah.
that gives them some sort of like legitimacy, and you see it a lot in like in kink. People want to like latch onto these things, and I think it's something that is like a Western trait because we have no culture, right? Our culture is just absorbing other people's cultures. So people try to latch onto these things that give them some sort of place in society. Like, oh, I'm like the musician that's special because I can see the sound, or like, you know, oh, I went and got my genome tested and I'm 1/8, you know, Inuit. So that means that I'm connected to something that has meaning, right? Like I'm gonna go and learn about my Nordic history or something like this, and that's like cool. But I think it's just like, I think all of this stuff should kind of be like the way that gender is kind of going. That you can just kind of like, you can choose to be non-binary if you feel that that is what you identify with more. I'm down for like identifying with cultures, and religions, and just embracing it for what it is, and just being like, you know what, I'm gonna embrace my like New Zealander heritage, and I'm just gonna go and like speak with that accent and just fully embrace that. And just, some people call it appropriation, I just call it like channeling my inner New Zealander.
I guess people really want belonging. Guys, all of you who are commenting, question, do any of you like, and I agree because I think people all want to be special. Do any of you not care about being special? Do any of you like, are your egos like just happy and content with just not being special? Let me know. Let me know what your ego says.
Now, on that ego note, 403 Era just asked, would you ever clone yourself? Doesn't it make sense genetically? Is it narcissistic? Are there laws against incubating humans artificially after a certain amount of days? Yes, there's a whole act called the Human Cloning Act. We can't do it. I definitely would, though. I would love to have a clone. I think it would be so cool. If we had a teleporter, I would just leave my old version of myself at one end and then appear at the other end, so there'd just be clones every time I teleported. Because I think clones are the coolest. And we already have clones everywhere. Identical twins are all clones. And they're cool. I was so disappointed when I found out you could have an identical twin in preschool. And I never got over that. I would clone myself in a second. What about you, Lucy? Would you clone yourself?
Um, you know what? I wouldn't because I don't think that I've got the best genes.
Yeah.
Um,
I would
I
want someone
think,
to suffer
you know,
equally with me.
right.
What?
I don't want anyone else to suffer. I wouldn't, because I'd be like, sorry. I'd be like, Chloe, I'd be like, I'm so sorry. Be like, you're here now. I'm gonna hold your hand through it.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do this shitty diet with me.
Just lock them in a fucking cage and just test everything on them, right? And if they get better, you're all sweet. You know, in fact, clone yourself like 100 times and just test every single treatment possible on all of them. Then unclone or kill the ones that didn't have a good outcome.
Well, question. I think this leads into, do you want children? I think wanting to have a clone leads into people also wanting to have kids. Do you want to have kids?
Um, my preference is clones, then children.
I just want to be clear. My preference is clones and
Chuckberry
children.
says a clone
Yeah.
would be good company. Damn straight they would be. Have you ever watched yourself on video? Have you rewatched one of our sessions before?
I can watch up to like 5 minutes and I'm like, oh, disgusting. Not you, me.
So when I watch myself being interviewed sometimes, I'm always like, oh, that's such a good point. Oh, that's exactly what I'd say. And I think having a conversation with yourself is actually kind of like...
Exactly what I would say. I love.
I think the thing is, because my brain's all over the place, it's really easy to follow my train of thought when I watch it again, but it might not make sense to anyone else. But for me, it's actually a really relaxing thing to watch because I'm like, oh, it's exactly what I think next. But I think I often make some really bizarre, abstract connections between topics. And when I do it, I'm like, oh, that's really clever. but I don't know if anyone else thinks it is. Just
That's
me.
amazing.
So
I love that. No, I think we all think that. We all think that you're brilliant. And I think we all agree when we watch you back. We're like, what a good point.
plus, I think a clone would be good as like just backup plan. Like leave one at home. What happens if you get killed while you're out? Right? If I have a backup, that's all fine. And I think they're both me. So I think the one that died, I would just end up in the one that's still alive. Like my consciousness would just continue.
Wait, I like this comment from Ray. Wait, Meow, you don't mind the sound of your own voice?
It depends on how well it's recorded. I like it if it's recorded well, funnily enough. But if I listen to the sound of my phone, like my phone voice, I hate it. I actually worked at a call center and we'd have to listen to ourselves recorded, and I refused. I said I'd rather quit than listen to a recording of my voice through the phone. So then my manager would just take notes, and we would just have meetings where he'd say, "Well, you didn't really fix this person's problem." And I'm like, "I hate this job." I go,
Wait,
okay.
what job was this?
Before I went to university, I worked in a call center, and I fixed people's broken internet, and I
Oh.
hated this job. It was the worst thing. Like every you know what, my favorite job before this was turning around cans in Woolworths. And this job at this call center was the worst thing you could ever imagine. I have empathy for anyone who works in a call center, truly.
Wow, that's
Oh, you'd
real.
have to
That's real.
raise your clone from infancy. Would you? So I couldn't do that. If I had to bring it up from scratch, it wouldn't be me by the time it got. I have to clone it from where I am
It
now.
wouldn't. So your argument is that yeah, a person isn't a person unless they have the same memories.
Oh yeah,
But the thing, uh, here's the thing. I think that we all go through hardship in our lives and we all go through suffering. And I think that that suffering is important because it teaches you to have empathy and it teaches you how to be a cooler human being, um, cooler to be around, a stronger person. Well, not always physically stronger, but mentally, you have a better grasp of life, I believe.
definitely.
And I don't know, this is just my theory, but so if you had a clone and he wanted to raise it, I feel like, and he wanted it to be like you, yeah, you'd have to inflict some suffering on it, and that doesn't sound fun. If you want them to
Serious,
be cool like you are.
serious trauma. Now Stephen has brought up one of the coolest shows. It's called Moon. Moon. We're not going to talk about it too much, but I highly recommend anyone who hasn't watched it go and watch it. It's got two actors in the movie, and it's set on the moon. It had a $50,000 production budget, and it's one of my favorite science fiction films. That and Gattaca, seriously cool movies. I don't want to talk about Moon because it's too good. So I'm just, but have you seen Altered
I will
Carbon?
watch it.
Have you seen Altered Carbon, Lucy?
Okay, is that the one on Netflix?
Um,
Yes, yes.
yeah, it
Yeah, yeah,
is,
yeah.
and it was made from
It had the guy from.
go ahead. It was made from a story. It had already been written, but it had the. No, you're not gonna do it, are you? You can't.
It's time.
No. The sweetness. Tell me how the sweetness is, Lucy.
I'm gonna cry. Look, it's been fun, but it's time.
Okay, so do we want to give some context? So one of the guest stars on this
Yeah.
show, James Gilronan, who came on, is on
One
a
of our
very,
stars. Yes.
he's on a diet where he's cut all sugars out of his diet, and he says broccoli is too sweet. He can't handle the sweetness of it. Raw broccoli. Is it broccoli or broccoli in Australia? I never know this.
Is it grown in Australia? No
Are
idea.
we broccoli or broccoli?
Must be.
Are you a broccoli or a broccoli? I don't know which one. Please type in the comments. What you
Broccoli.
say. Broccoli?
Broccoli.
Is that American?
Broccoli.
Broccoli.
Yeah. I just love eating broccoli every day. I think broccoli is American.
Broccoli. No, broccoli. Wait. Put E or I. E or EYE. Broccoli.
Broccoli. Yeah.
You know what?
But I think that our friend James was eating it uncooked, whereas this one has been cooked
All the
in boiling
sweetness will
water.
have been leached out of it.
I know, I know. So our good friend James said that when he ate I think it was uncooked broccoli, it was the sweetest thing because he's also been on a no sugar diet. So
I think
this is where I
he's on a
am.
bit of a no anything diet.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Now, how?
Okay.
Oh,
Uh,
we've got a comment. So we've missed a lot of comments. So I do apologise. If you really are keen for an answer, whack them back in, and we'll try and get to them as well. Broccoli IINet. I used to work. That was the bloody company I worked for. Was IINet. Broccoli here. Yay, Jared. I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm going broccoli. Peter Farley. Oh, Peter as well. I went and did some research. You were right. I actually went on this huge binge of Bertrand Russell after we were talking about Principia Mathematica last time. So thank you for that comment. Dad called it brocchioli. Mum called it I'm guessing broccoli. Mum called it broccoli. I call it the latter, but also hate it, so I never really have to say either. I quite like broccoli. I can't even say it anymore. I don't know what
is it really sweet? Is, is it your favorite sweet food?
I would not call it sweet. I'd call it. So broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. I'm forgetting some here. I think maybe I'm gonna look this up. See if anyone can guess what I'm getting at.
And Sundog Illionaire says, broccoli, is it broccoli if you eat it with friends? Yes, it is. Yes. And so right now this is broccoli because I'm eating it with friends. Shien says kale. Oh, is that what you were going to say next? Can I just say something about kale? Everyone's guessing kale, Meow.
Which is a brassica
I-
wrapper. Okay, so there's
Broccolo.
brassica wrapper, which is called field mustard, right? It is.
You all guessed kale. You're all right.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that these are all the same species, right? And they're just selectively bred for different parts of the plant. Yeah, basically cabbage,
Wait, what?
cauliflower,
It's
broccoli, kohlrabi, Brussels sprouts, kale, like basically everything in Woolies vegetable section is one species where they just selected different bit cruciferous vegetables. Yeah, basically they're all the same plant.
Are they? Wow.
How crazy is
Good
that?
on us. God, humans are so resourceful. We got so many resources out of the one plant.
Yeah, but why don't we diversify? Why don't we pick something else? And thank you, Nos Nikta, for saying that. Nos Nikta listed them all. I like your green mustache, Lucy. Cruciferous. It's just a mutant cabbage. Yeah, basically that's it. I agree.
I have a complaint to make about kale.
Do you? Please. I also
Yep.
I hate
So-
kale.
Yeah, I bought it last week, thinking I would incorporate it into my diet, and all the recipes say massage the kale with some oil so it softens. And my issue is, why does the kale get a massage but not me? I'm not down for it, so it's not getting a massage and it's going into the compost.
Did you? Yeah, I think so. Did you use some patchouli in the oil that you rub on? Light some incense. put a little a few healing crystals around.
Few candles for the kale. Honestly, I was so mad. I was like, this gets a massage. I think not. I think not.
Speaking of kale crystals and massages, scarily, the Delta strain has just hit the northern rivers of New South Wales, which is like hippie central, right? Byron Bay, Lismore, these areas which have some of the highest rates of anti-vaccination in the country. And I'm
They have been so lucky to not get it so far, like previous COVID
yeah,
situation.
and
They've been
basically
so lucky,
I heard that
or
I
they've
heard
got it right all along.
yeah, it's a worry. The guy who bloody took it up there, his wife was sick in hospital with COVID, and he's like, I'm just gonna go check out some property in Byron Bay.
Yeah, super selfish.
This is the most Sydney fucking thing you can do, right?
Sorry, it's the most Sydney.
Most Sydney thing you
What
can
did you say?
do is while your wife is dying of COVID, go and check out some property in Byron Bay, pick up a latte,
Oh, so
right?
true.
I bet you he was from
Ah, pick up
Bondi.
a
He
latte.
was from Bondi for sure.
Have some gluten-free, sugar-free banana bread. Go to Byron. Yeah,
That's it.
agreed. Yeah, I look, it's so is this what you expected? Did you expect it just to get worse and worse, Meow, in terms of Delta in New South Wales?
I keep on expecting the government to put in a harsher lockdown. Like they know what's happening isn't working. And what I'm surprised by is the fact that they're not locking it down. It kind of, I've actually been looking at it thinking we should be seeing this having an effect. But actually someone in the comments, Jared, was talking about we need to go to stage 4 lockdowns. We need to go to the next level of lockdown because what we've done is we've essentially kept the R naught value close to 1, which is that when the R naught is close to 1, we have the same amount of infected people each day. For the numbers to decline, we need to get the R naught below 1. And if the R naught is, 2, we have exponential increase. And what we're doing is we must be at like R 1.01 or R 1.02. Something like this. And basically we need to
Hold on. This is an equation for what would you call this equation?
it is so simply it's the rate of how many infected people infect other people.
Okay. So a contagion equation.
Yeah, that's a very good way of thinking about it. So it measures the rate of
Okay.
infection. Really, a contagion equation.
And yes. And this has been created by whoever's the scientists looking at the
Yeah, it's a way we measure. It's a way we measure the viruses in general, not just COVID. So, for example, normal flu has an R value of 1.2, and pandemic flu is 1.4 to 1.6. Now, the R value isn't this.
okay. Ask yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Sorry. And so R stands for the equation. Do we know what the equation is? Is it something like
Oh,
pi minus times
yeah.
7?
Basically, what we do is we look at how many people have the virus, and then we can measure how many people have it the next day or the next week, and we can basically look. Sorry, I'm right next to a highway. We can look at how the rates change over time. We can use this to work it out basically. So it would be the slope of the curve if we think about it like that, of how many people are getting infected. And the steepness
Okay.
of that that number will indicate how fast it's transmitting. But basically, we aim for below 1, right? That means it's going down. Less
Yeah.
people are getting it every day. Above 1, the numbers are getting bigger. Close, if it's 1, we would expect
Okay.
the same number
Good.
every day.
Amazing. Thanks for explaining that.
I'm just going through I'm just seeing if we've got any questions
Dev,
in the comments.
Devin, do you think that you've had COVID being in Florida? Do you think that you've had it previously?
Let's sponsor Devon to come to Australia. I think we need more Devon down under. I'm just going through the comments. Yeah, basically, one interesting thing. I just wanted to talk about the R value a little bit in this. So we have this R naught value, which is how many people get it. So part of it is a function of the disease, how contagious it is, but part of it is the human reaction to the disease. So when we lock it down, we actually drop the R value, R naught value. But the virus itself can mutate to increase the R naught value. And basically, the way we deal with the pandemic is about making sure that the R naught is always less than 1. Because if we do that, we beat it.
Okay. And when you're saying it can evolve to increase the R naught amount, it's just evolving to be more contagious.
That's right. So it might be changing the way that it attacks your
Okay.
body. It might be the big thing is when it became airborne, that immediately kicks up its level of contagiousness, its virulence. Yeah. Now measles has an R value of like 34, right? It's like insane. I make that number up every time, but it's something crazy like that.
It's like, so I just made that number up, but it is a high number.
Yeah, it's 67% of statistics are just made up on the spot, right?
So, and what sort of lockdown? So we need a harsher lockdown. What do you see happening in the harsher lockdown?
People actually staying home. I think ideally people would own like what would be perfect is if the government just organized to take food to people's houses. If they can do that, we would basically cut this out because about 2/3 of the cases at the moment are being caused because of food venues, and this is like Woolworths, uh, KFC,
Oh.
stuff like this. Um,
Oh, okay. Oh, and it just makes me think China had it right. China,
yeah,
in everywhere in China, you can get food delivered to your door. Like, no, we need, I really believe it. We need a China style lockdown. Lock us in our homes for a few weeks.
tubes,
We'll get it under control
tubes,
in 2 weeks. We'll be good.
tubes.
We won't have to do another 3 months of lockdown.
Yeah,
We'll just have to do 3 weeks, and that'll be it. That'll be it.
I reckon drones and tubes take people out of the equation. Um, my heart goes out to Matt. One of your workmates had a family member die from COVID. That's really, really tragic. We're starting to see the deaths take off in Sydney. We actually had a comment. There was two things. One was about antibody tests. While we're here, the antibody tests are very reliable. They're just not good as a diagnostic method for stopping COVID. But checking whether you've got resistance, they're fantastic. Also, there was a comment to ask for us to please talk about the IPCC climate review. I haven't had a chance to look at it because I'm like knee deep in COVID. But if I get a chance between now and next week, I'll definitely have a look at it. I know the Greens have been talking a lot about it though. And it says, but the summary is us all staying home isn't stopping the effect we're having on the climate. I know that much at least.
But it has at least lessened, right? Lessened our impact on the climate.
Yeah, but it's kind of like chucking a bucket of water on a bushfire. Like that's the kind of message that's coming out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. It's certainly not fixed.
And Australia has a lot to answer for. We're doing almost nothing, and other countries are going to start taxing us really heavily or putting tariffs on us, which is going to do really bad things for Australia.
Yes.
Yeah, it's important.
Yes. Tariff our country.
You know what
No, whatever it takes.
pisses me off though. Julia Gillard put a carbon tax, and we actually led the world in this. Like we forget this, right? We were leading the world, and now we're at the bottom. So I just like
Is
to
the
say
carbon tax still in place?
no. I'd like to say a big fuck you to Tony Abbott. I'd like to say a big fuck you to Clive Palmer. I'd like to say a double big fuck you to Barnaby Joyce. Pretty much all the Nationals. Pretty much all the Libs. Half of fucking Labor now or more. A big fuck you to all of you. Beck, Lester, you're all right.
But Beck is all right.
Yeah, that's my
That's
sister.
right.
And a good. I was like,
Yes.
oh yeah, big fuck you to One Nation. I will. Palmer United Party did one good thing, which was try and turn Tasmania into Jurassic Park, but pretty much, and tried to make Titanic too, but pretty much everything else. Oh, and big fuck you to Rupert Murdoch. Oh, in fact, that's kind of the
Yeah.
king fucker right there.
I think we need some drastic pressures on Australian politicians because when we say tariffs on Australia, we're
Did
really
you
just
say?
saying tariffs on Australian politicians.
Did you say
That's yeah.
drastic
So look,
pressures
I'm all for it.
or Jurassic pressures?
Sorry, drastic measures.
Oh, I thought you said Jurassic.
Hey,
I
drastic.
thought
I
you
said
said
drastic, but I
Jurassic.
should have said Jurassic
Okay, because
because yeah, it's too short-sighted for us to stop caring about the environment. It's just dumb.
would you turn Tasmania into Jurassic Park? Like, just bring back dinosaurs and put them there if you had the option. Are you pro
No,
dino?
I wouldn't. I'm sort of pro some. We got to give them some choice. But meow. What about like in the middle of Australia where there's like hundreds of kilometers where no one lives? Let's put the dinosaurs there.
Yeah, I'm a
Wait,
fan.
no, that's dumb too. Don't do that.
Depends on what type of dinos they
That's
are.
just like taking over Aboriginal land. No, that I said a dumb thing. No, I take that back.
Okay, I reckon South Island of New Zealand.
Okay.
I'm glad.
We can settle on South.
I just want an island. I just want an island, Dino
Look,
Island.
th no, the only way to solve this is we create an island.
Yeah.
We just move a bunch of sand around. We create an island, and then no one's got any claim on the island. People aren't living there. People don't have culture or heritage there. And we put the dinosaurs there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, they did it in Dubai. Dubai would love that. Dubai has so much money. They would love a Jurassic Park.
Dubai, for sure. And I'm glad that you guys are enjoying my diet.
Yeah. Why not New Zealand? Yeah.
It's boring as
Jared
hell.
agrees with New Zealand. Jurassic pressures would probably be a bigger motivator for pollies. I agree. You know what? This is it. Not drastic measures, Jurassic measures. We have a T-Rex in Parliament, and we look for the SNPs correlated with the ability to detect lies. Or maybe we just hook them all up to lie detectors, right? And if they lie, the fucking T-Rex just eats them. That's it. No second chances.
Foolproof system.
That's it. Yeah. I'm down.
That's
Okay,
right.
so let's I'm just gonna quickly go. Let's have a look in the comments.
You guys, I'm feasting on your comments today. You're all brilliant.
Your diet looks quite healthy,
Yeah.
Lucy. I'm impressed.
Yes, yes, I did notice that Sundog Gillionaire said that. And yes, indeed, it's so healthy. I've in fact lost all interest in food. I'm just doing it because I have to.
Maybe it says polygraphs can be beat. Maybe we just have like a satisfaction meter, right? And everyone in the country can just turn the dial during the day, and if it goes below 5%, T-Rex just chomps them.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Did I
Although the T-Rex would have chomped them in lockdown, wouldn't they? Because no one's really happy.
did I ever tell you my idea about how to fix Australia by using a
To
really
fix Australia,
yeah? So I have this
tubes.
idea. Tubes are a very good way
Every
of
week,
doing
man.
it. Okay, so I was. Have you watched Lord of the Rings? I don't know if we've covered this on the channel before. Okay,
Extended version only.
what happens when someone accumulates too much money in Lord of the Rings? Say for example, the dwarves, they get a bit too much gold.
Oh, something happened. I remember. What happened again?
Smog fucking
I've forgotten,
happens.
but they became a bit war.
Smog. The dragon comes and fucking takes their gold, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now that's the method they have for social equality in Middle Earth. So I thought maybe the problem here isn't that people have too much money, it's that there's not enough fucking dragons, right? So what we do is for every $1 million of net worth, you get an entrance into the worst lottery in the world. So you can have as much money as you want, but basically, once a year, maybe on census night, who knows, maybe on tax night, we have a lottery, and every $1 million you get a ticket into the lottery. And then we get someone, maybe we can auction it off, the poorest person or something, gets to pull a ticket out, and whoever that is, we donate their wealth to the government. We just give all their money to the government. We take it 100% tax, right? But the way we do it is we dress up someone like Chopper Reed as the dragon with a flamethrower, and he goes and he takes that person's money. We kill them. What do you reckon?
You said the poorest person.
Yeah. Maybe they get to like either kill them or they get to pick it out, right?
So the poorest person has to give over all their money.
No, the poorest person gets to pull the ticket out, and you get
Oh, I
your
see, I see, I
ticket. So say for
see.
example, you
I
have $1 million and I
see.
have $10 million. I get ten tickets and you get one ticket. And if you're
I
Jenna,
understand now. I
and if you're
see.
Jenna Reinhardt, you should be very, very, very scared, right?
Very worried.
Yeah.
And Sammy's saying tubes. What do you mean? He means tubes that are connected to every home.
Yeah.
They go underground. They go in the air, and they you can put any item in them, and they will be delivered anywhere. And soup. There's soup in the tubes too, says Meow. So you can deliver soup. And this way, delivery systems will be obsolete because everyone will use the tubes, and all problems will be solved.
Tuba Eats.
Tuber Eats. I love it.
That's it.
I love
That's
it.
it. That's it. It's like it's got all the benefits of Uber Eats with none of the downsides. Yeah. That's it. We're gonna make a fortune off it, Lucy. Now we're also coming up to the end. Now I actually have a piece of good news. I'm gonna take this down. By the way, the Discord link is gone. Well, I'll make a new one for next week. But my puppies were. Are we still here? Yeah, my puppies were actually in the drum today. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see this, Lucy?
I did see that. I saw your initial comment on the journalists' search for people who'd adopted puppies during lockdown, and then I watched the video because I love your puppies and I really wanted to see their faces.
It was very cool. So I was very happy. They're famous puppies now, and I think that's almost all my news. Basically, it was a lot of writing this week. I just wrote, and you know what? I've decided, Lucy. I hate medical devices.
You've had enough of them.
I'm done. You know what? Everyone says, "Where's your test?" I'm at the point I don't care.